all about socializing, will be all about basically taking over and the government running all of your companies. You disagree with that? You now denounce that statement.
I am not a socialist.
Okay.
Did you just watch that? Maxine Waters got cornered so hard on socialism that she started running in circles faster than a campaign promise before Election Day. 1 minute is government running your companies. The next minute it's, I'm a capitalist. Sounds like somebody realized Americans actually like freedom. Stick around, because this clash got real heated, real fast.
Now, we can go around and around in circles about trying to talk about and defining socialism, but at its core, I was intrigued by an op-ed that I saw not too long ago by a Democrat from Cuba commenting on one of our colleagues, an avowed socialist, and essentially pointing out the extent to which democratic socialism is a lot like the system my family fled, except its proponents promised to be nicer when seizing your business. And that's the truth. That's the truth here. And so we can talk about these terms as if they don't matter, but they do. They do matter. They're actually at the core of who we are. I've got one question for the ranking member Waters. In a 2008 hearing, you said, quote, and guess what this liberal will be all about? This liberal will be all about socializing, would be about basically taking over the government and the government running all of your companies, end quote. It's a simple question. Do you stand by that statement?
Simple answer. I am here today in this Rules Committee because we're taking up time with basically a non-issue. First of all, you claim that socialism has engulfed this country, that it keeps creeping, it's going to take over private businesses, et cetera, et cetera. That is not happening. We're in a democracy that we're trying very much to save and to not have disrupted, undermined way that...
So then reclaiming my time, the gentlelady denounces your previous statement then and do not accept that previous statement that you think you would take over these private businesses?
I'm not a socialist. I'm a capitalist. And I commit to you that I am here to save Social Security, to save Medicare, to save seniors and veterans. And for some of you who have adopted certain kind of ways that you support what you now claim is socialism, I'm here to say to you, come on.
So this liberal will be all about socializing, will be all about basically taking over and the government running all of your companies. You disagree with that? You now denounce that statement.
I am not a socialist.
Okay.
All right?
So I appreciate the response. I think that to the extent that one has a concern as a member of this body or as an American watching this, one has concerns when we hear statements like this, and that's not the only one, and statements by some of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle extolling the virtues of socialism. As I just pointed out, a nicer way of confiscating businesses, a nicer way of confiscating the assets.
Did you watch that? Well, that exchange right there perfectly explains why Americans don't trust politicians when they start playing word games with socialism. You could literally see the tension building in that room as Republicans kept pressing the issue, and Maxine Waters tried to dance around her own past statements. And honestly, the moment got awkward fast. So let's break this down. The Republican lawmaker starts by bringing up something a lot of conservatives have been warning about for years now, the slow creep of socialist-style policies into American politics. And before the left starts screaming, that's a conspiracy, hold on, because he didn't just throw random accusations around. He actually quoted Democrats and brought up comments made publicly over the years. Then came the big moment. He quoted Maxine Waters from back in 2008 saying that liberals would be about socializing and taking over companies with government involvement. Now, the second that quote got brought up, you could almost feel the temperature in the room change because suddenly the tone shifted from confidence to damage control. And here's what made it so fascinating. Instead of directly defending the statement, she immediately tried pivoting towards Social Security, Medicare, democracy, veterans, basically everything except the actual quote. And that's usually how you know a politician doesn't want to stay on the original question. Now look, Americans are not stupid. People know the difference between helping citizens and having government control every part of life. Conservatives aren't against helping struggling Americans. What people are worried about is when government starts acting like Washington should control businesses, healthcare, energy, banking, speech, all of it, because history matters. The congressman even referenced families fleeing socialist systems like Cuba. And that hit hard because for millions of immigrants, socialism isn't some trendy college debate topic. It's personal. Their families escaped countries where governments promise fairness, equality, compassion, all the nice sounding words politicians love using, and then slowly grabbed more power until ordinary people lost freedom. That's the part a lot of Americans are nervous about. And honestly, one of the strongest moments in this exchange was when he basically said, modern democratic socialism often sounds like old socialism, just with better marketing. That line landed hard. Because think about it, whenever government gets bigger, regular people usually get less control over their own lives. Small businesses suffer, regulations explode, taxes go up, bureaucrats gain power, and somehow the people promising to fight for the little guy always end up living pretty comfortably themselves. Funny how that works, huh? And then came the contradiction. Maxine says, I'm not a socialist. I'm a capitalist. Okay, but conservatives hear statements about government taking larger control of industries and naturally ask questions. That's why Republicans keep hammering this issue. They believe words matter, policies matter, ideologies matter. And here's the bigger political problem for Democrats right now. The party has spent years flirting with far-left rhetoric while also trying to reassure moderate voters they're not actually radical. So they end up caught in this weird balancing act where they praise big government programs one day, then deny being socialist the next day when the polling looks bad. Americans notice that inconsistency. Now, to be fair, not every Democrat is a socialist, obviously. But conservatives argue that the direction of the party keeps moving further left on economics, government power, and regulation. And moments like this become viral because they feed into that concern. The funniest part, the congressman kept calmly going back to the exact same quote while Waters kept trying to move away from it. It was like watching somebody trying to change the subject during Thanksgiving dinner after getting caught stealing the last slice of pie. But beneath the humor, this debate actually matters. Because this isn't just about one hearing or one awkward exchange. It's about the future direction of the country. Americans are asking serious questions right now about inflation, government spending, economic freedom, and whether Washington is becoming way too powerful. And when politicians sound inconsistent on those issues, voters start paying attention fast. At the end of the day, this clash shows something important. Conservatives believe America succeeds when citizens have the freedom to build, own, create, and succeed without government trying to micromanage every corner of life. That's the core argument here. And judging by how heated this hearing got, this debate is nowhere near over. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you subscribe, because these political clashes are getting more intense by the day. And trust me, Washington keeps giving us material faster than they can spend taxpayer money.